Welcome to the Conveyance Desk. This is episode 26, the check that has to arrive on time. Here is something the property industry would rather you did not think about. In a brokerage, there is a place the people who could not close end up. They didn't make it on the sales floor, where the money is, so they get moved off commission and into processing. That place is the sales progression desk. And on a finance purchase, that desk is very often the team handling your transfer, the most procedurally demanding deal there is, run by the people who washed out of the simpler job. This episode is about why that matters, and what the alternative actually looks like. 1. The desk where failed brokers land. Be plain about how a brokerage's progression team is staffed, because the industry never is. It is not built from people chosen for their ability to manage a financing timeline. It is built, in large part, from former salespeople who didn't perform, moved off the front line and into the back office because the firm didn't want to lose them entirely, not because they were good at this. So the desk is downstream of failure. It collects whoever couldn't close, and then hands them the part of the transaction that needs the most competence. That is the structural fact, not an insult, a description of the pool the role is hired from. 2. Why this is the moment it bites. The late check. A finance deal runs on the bank's clock, and the single most common reason a transfer slips is not drama. It is simply that the buyer's mortgage check does not arrive in time for the transfer date. The pattern is ordinary. Buyers shop for the best mortgage rate, which is sensible, but the banks offering the sharpest rates are, for exactly that reason, inundated. Everyone wants the cheap money, so those desks are the most backed up. The application sits in a queue. Processing takes longer than anyone hoped, and the manager's check that has to be physically presented at transfer is not ready when the date arrives. Nobody did anything wrong. This is the most routine delay in Dubai property, and it is entirely about pace. The only question that matters is, who is handling it when it happens? And now you see why the answer matters so much. The application sits in a queue. Processing takes longer than anyone hoped, and the manager's check that has to be physically presented at transfer is not ready when the date arrives. Nobody did anything wrong. This is the most routine delay in Dubai property, and it is entirely about pace. The only question that matters is who is handling it when it happens, and now you see why the answer matters so much. 3. Hired for the work, not inherited from the sales floor. An independent conveyancing desk is staffed the opposite way round. It does not draw from a brokerage's washed-out sales bench, because it has no sales bench. It recruits for the transaction. That means banking and mortgage experience is preferred, because the job is, in large part, navigating banks. Someone who came from the lending side knows the process from the inside. It means a desk can hire paralegals, people with actual document and process training, not salespeople reassigned to paperwork they were never taught. And it means hiring for language. A great deal of what decides your timeline, the developer's knock desk, the bank, the government sidesteps, sometimes the seller, is conducted in Arabic. A desk with Arabic-speaking staff gets answers faster and reads the room better, because it can deal with the people who control the clock in their own language. None of that exists on a progression desk built from one pool. The difference is competence assembled on purpose versus competence inherited by accident. 4. Who can actually see inside it? When a financing timeline is at risk, the valuable thing is knowing the true state of play, the real version, not the hopeful one. Neither side can see the other's bank steps from the outside. The seller's side cannot tell where the buyer's application genuinely sits. The buyer's side cannot speed up a release the bank controls. So everything depends on the person who can find out and who knows what to ask. Someone who came from the banks knows precisely what to ask. Buyer, not "Are you on track?" to which everyone says yes, but show me where your application is, what stage it has reached, and what the bank still needs from you. And someone who has worked across several banks as former colleagues to call, they find out where an application actually stands, instead of waiting for the official update that lands after the deadline has already passed. A progression desk staffed from the sales floor takes the buyer's "it's all fine" at face value, because it has no way to see inside the bank and no one to call. It learns the check is late at the same moment everyone else does when it is late. 5. What independence actually buys you here? Independence on a finance deal is not a safeguard against catastrophe. It is competence pointed at you. A conveyancer working for the buyer asks the right questions early, reads the real state of the application, and tells you straight where things stand in time to do something about it. A progression desk reports to the deal, so its updates tend to serve the deal. Optimistic, smooth, reassuring, and occasionally wrong at the worst moment. Same timeline. One person trying to keep it accurate for you, the other trying to keep it looking healthy. That gap is the whole value. 6. Was a simple thing to ask. When you appoint someone to handle a financed purchase, ask 2 questions. Where did you come from? Do you actually know your way around the banks? And when my check is at risk, can you find out where it really stands, or will you just relay what I tell you? The answers tell you whether you have hired competence or a messenger on a deal that runs on the bank's clock. That is the only thing worth knowing up front. The Conveyance Desk is an independent private service. It is not a government body and does not issue official documents. Nothing in this episode is legal advice. It is general information about how property transfers in Dubai are structured to help a buyer understand the process and ask better questions. For advice on your specific matter, speak to a qualified professional. Next time, the fee you pay and why the way it is built decides whether you can trust the advice. Episode 27, The Price of Being Looked After. This has been the Conveyance Desk, independent oversight on your side of the table.